Seems fair to me.
Well, if you don't know what fair is, you can't make it. Unacceptable by any reason.
Donnybrook is made possible by the members of the 9 Network.
And we thank you for joining us for another edition of Donnybrook. Great to have you aboard. And just around the corner, we're going to ask you to join us for our Donny Bash. But first, we want to thank our friends at the Gatesworth for making this program possible, as you do week in and week out. Let's meet the panelists assembled around the somewhat green table for this edition of Donnybrook, starting with Jasmine Huda, who's making her debut on Donnybrook. Of course, you know her from Fox 2. She's sitting in for Wendy Weiss, who's taking the week off. Thank you, Jasmine. Along with John Hancock from Hancock and Kelly on both KMOX and Fox 2, and it's good to have John back. He's sitting in for Bill McClellan, who's taking a week off.
Bill McClellan jacket on tonight.
Yeah, you really do. Yes. Does your mom know that you took her shades or her curtains and turned it into a suit coat?
I paid a lot of money for this thing.
Yeah, you did. All righty. Ray Hartmann is one of the founders of Donnybrook. He always dresses with distinction. And, of course, he's with St. Louis Magazine.
Say extinction?
Distinction,
yeah.
yes. And the one and only Alvin Reid in his sartorial splendor as well from the St. Louis American, STLmag.com and beyond. Thank you, an all-star panel. I don't know how the other stations can compete tonight or this morning, whenever you're watching. John Hancock.
Yes.
The Business Journal did a very good piece on Metrolink, along with the Metro buses in Colorado and others, and pointed that since 2012, ridership is down. And that's kind of alarming, especially at a time when we're told that people don't like the automobile anymore. And they're also pointing out, the Business Journal did, that Metrolink is about $600,000 in the red, faces a $1.2 billion deficit between here and 2045 at exactly the time that it's thinking about expanding in the city of St. Louis. As you know, there is a study funded by the Treasurer's Office to study the expansion of Metrolink. Given all this, do you think we should be expanding Metrolink?
No, we can't afford it. And it's not being utilized now. It's not safe. Maybe someday they can make it appealing enough so that people will use it. If people aren't using something, why would you spend billions, and it's billions of dollars to expand it, why would you spend billions of dollars for something people aren't using now?
Well, I would answer that question by, one, you should expand it. And what's going on now hopefully won't be going on in the future, but you can't look at it like that. I mean, you'll never make any progress if today's problems stop you from making, important decisions for the future. How about charging people? Okay, that knocks some of the deficit out right there by simply making people pay every time they get on there. Every major metropolitan city that I know of that has mass transit simply does that.
Turnstiles?
That will also, most likely, make it safer. So it won't eliminate all the crime and craziness that's going on. You got to get that right with the police departments and everything. But hey, expand it, but just do it right.
I think people support the notion of making public transportation accessible to everyone, and that's something it would do, especially along that north-south route. But I think, as you mentioned, crime and making it safer is on top mind for a lot of people. So, I mean, look what happened just, 1 or 2 nights ago. We had someone who was shot and killed near the Metrolink station near St. Louis University, and it's move-in day at St. Louis University, and that's what people are talking about. So I think, one thing on voters' minds is, if I'm going to ride Metrolink, it's got to be safer.
Well, that's true. In fairness, in that particular case, it was somebody sitting waiting for a bus. It wasn't even part of Metrolink directly, but
it was near it though.
Everybody knows that the Metrolink security is a huge issue. They're doing a security study right now. There's no question this was a poorly designed system. They made some bad choices. First of all, some of them were political and racial, and some of them were just the whole idea of the open system and not having the turnstiles made no sense in retrospect, and they've got to correct that. I think, though, that expanding it, unlike Mr. Hancock here, I'm happy, and I'm sure he's happy to disagree with me, that I think we need to expand it and improve. We got to fix it and expand
the
it.
only thing is-
And the idea of its cost is, don't forget that Highway 40 does not pay for itself. The roadways do not pay for themselves. We always have this discussion. They take the total
Well, there's that
deficits.
gas tax in
No,
the
yeah,
state of
and,
Missouri.
but the point is, that's
no, Ray,
exactly
I
right.
do want, can I
That's
jump
the
in?
subsidy.
Let me ask you this. The line would go through the
Right.
city of St. Louis.
Right.
And you recently, thank you very much, joined us on our radio program on KMOX, and you came to downtown St. Louis during rush hour.
Right.
And I think you and I both noticed that there was no traffic heading into downtown St. Louis.
Correct.
Do you really believe that we have the critical mass in the city, and that's where we're talking about expanding Metrolink, not, in Wildwood or St. Charles. We're talking about putting it through the city. Do you think the city has the critical mass for an expansion of Metrolink?
Well, it's not just, eventually the idea is to expand it beyond just the city
Not
limits, the
now.
north-south. And yes, I do think the city with the new-
This latest plan does not include the county.
And the marketplace will determine these things. If people are using the system, it will grow and expand.
Well-
if people are not using it, why would you pour billions of dollars into something?
Well, because, and I've said this before on the show, it was one of these things where, and I think the previous administration in the city of St. Louis, everybody get on board, it has to be this north-south. The next thing is north-south, and everybody was just north-south. And I still wonder, why don't we build it and let people use it who actually want to use it? Why it does not go west into the city, I will never understand. That's where people would get up in the morning, and instead of driving into the city and having to park, they would get on the metro like they do in umpty-ump cities, go into the city, do their business, go to
I
work,
do think-
and come home. That's who can pay for it.
Well, I would also say-
the north-south thing is intended eventually to be one of the things about St. Louis is with the highway system. It's a lot easier going east-west versus north-south in our community. It's a dramatic difference. And originally, the idea of Metrolink was to go south of where it stops now. And again, there's been a lot of
Let me say this.
reasons that
Here's-
it didn't happen.
here's what's, I
but we
think,
need a north-south connection.
I think what we got to do, though, here's the deal. You look at a lot of the Metrolink stops, and there's not development around them. I mean, there's not housing and there's not businesses. And that's the whole point of this mass transit, to connect people to jobs. So I propose, if you're going to get a tax break of any sort, property, sales tax, you have to locate your business or your housing development within a quarter mile of the Metrolink stop, because we're wasting this billion-dollar project.
I think that
That's a good idea.
in Northern Virginia and D.C. area, the incentives for building near where especially when they built new ones, which, in the last 10 years, are enough to attract businesses and
Bingo.
residences.
Charlie,
But they also have critical mass there.
Well, true, but they make it worth your while.
Okay, let's move
do
on to
it.
another topic because time is of the essence. Alvin, Reid, I want to ask you, speaking of transportation, welcome. This is our first transportation segment. The airport, it's been reported by Tony Messenger of the Post-Dispatch as well as the Business Journal that the consultants, I know there's 20 of them, who are studying the privatization of Lambert Field, taking it from the city's hands and giving it in the hands of a private entity, are making about $800,000 a month, and that would be including their consulting fees and their expenses. If they take 24 months to complete their work, which is expected, this study will cost us $19 million. As it turns out, there are some contractors who are also coincidentally donors to some of the political campaigns of our elected officials. What do you think of this?
$200,000 a week for a report which is going to come back and say you should privatize the airport because the man who's paying for it wants to privatize the airport. It's even beyond a red flag. It's like a blanket of red covering the entire region. This is a horrible idea. This is a scam. This is the proportion and magnitude of the amount of money only pales in comparison to the buddies, pals, and friends who are getting paid off. It's disgraceful, and the region, once again, is just shooting itself in. This is not the foot this time. This is in the temple. This is just nonsense.
I get the idea that, yes, this could bring money to the St. Louis area, the city of St. Louis, but I think when it comes down to it, people want transparency. And this just comes out $800,000, and this is a process that's supposed to take, 3 years, this exploratory? That's a lot of money. And I think a lot of people are upset about that.
Well, what is transparent is the last mayor, about 25 minutes before he left office, after being in office for 16, however many years, decided this was a great idea, and many people around him, including him, are part of the solution going forward.
He's one of the consultants.
Exactly what's wrong.
And I think it is. I think it is actually scandalous. I think this is one of those where if the
All right,
airport,
let John
if the airport's an economic development engine, which I
Yes.
think it is,
Yes.
then the city can engage without all this wasted study. Just start doing some economic development. It's simple as that.
You've got to evaluate it. You've got to examine it, Ray, because we don't know what it's worth. We don't know what it'll bring in. And if it makes sense for a private company to come in here and operate the airport, and they will make a profit doing so, if it makes sense for them, why wouldn't we look and see what it can produce for the city? This is what's wrong with St. Louis. We've got an opportunity here to infuse billions of dollars into this town through a private actor operating that airport. It may not make sense, and at the end of the day, vote it down.
If it would make sense for this private actor, it would make more sense not to job it out than it would. Then the city engages private companies all the time,
John,
and the city can continue to do that.
Right.
If the money's there,
All right,
the
Ray,
city ought to do it.
We're speaking of money. It may not be there if we don't take a break here, because we're going to ask you to join us for Donny Bash, one of our big fundraisers of the year. And here's how you can do that.
Well, I don't know about you, but I just learned more about that airport privatization study than I've heard over the last 6 or 8 months. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot about that over the next 3 years, did they say? But anyway, you'll be hearing all about it on Donnybrook. I'm sure they seem to be pretty emotional about that, so we'll be hearing more of that. You're a Donnybrook fan, and rightfully so. It's been here over 30 years, and we'd like to invite you right now to join the 9 Network and support Donnybrook and all the other programs you enjoy here on Channel 9. And we have some very special thank you gifts, as always, coming up on September 27th at right across the street here. We are going to have the Donny Bash, and all the folks are there. That is a delightful evening. It's at the Sheldon, which, like I said, right across the street, September 27th. You will get to see a live broadcast of Donny Bash, and then afterwards a little meet and greet with the Donnybrook folks. It's a delightful evening. They are all so nice and so happy to meet the fans, and believe me, you'll have a wonderful. We have people who come back and do that time after time with their membership because it's just such a good time. And as you can see, you will get 2 tickets and a new 9Net mug when you join us at the $12 ongoing monthly membership. That's a $144 one-time contribution. But I suggest you grab that one right away, because that will be a delightful evening, and you'll have the handsome new mug. We also have 1 ticket for you if you'd like to make a one-time contribution of $60 to, you'll have 1 ticket for the Donny Bash. Or if you'd like to make an ongoing membership pledge of $60, we have the 9 mug. There it is. It's brand new. I have one here. I'm kind of handling this here in my hand. It's a good, sturdy, big mug, and you can get rid of the one you have at work with Elvis on it or whatever it is, and show folks that you support quality television. That's yours with a $5 sustaining membership, $5 a month for all you and your family enjoy here on the 9 Network. Let's go over now to my pal Marianne Carson and some of the Donnybrook folks.
And we're here with the floor, though I was about to say with the boys and the guys.
Boys work.
It's all right. Boys work. I know. I'm almost got myself, but it's okay.
No, you're fine. You're
That's
fine.
great. And I love, because one of the things about Donny Bash, which as you've been hearing is going to be on that Thursday, September 27th, is this set is literally transported, isn't it? I mean, when people walk into the Sheldon, they are seeing the set on stage.
we take the whole kit and caboodle across the street. Actually, just it's not that far because the Sheldon is just behind KETC. It's on Washington. We're on Olive, and so we just move around. But it's a great venue because all the sight lines are good. All seats are up close. The acoustically perfect Sheldon.
Talk about the parking. Parking is a breeze.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
It
is
is.
great. And the doors open at 5:30. This is what I love. There are refreshments served beforehand.
Yeah.
And you guys are there for like the pre-show reception, right? As well.
Absolutely, that's
Isn't that
the deal.
great?
We
Yeah.
kind of hang out and schmooze and mingle for probably an hour and a half before the live show. Right.
Cool.
And then everyone takes his or her seat, and then we have the live broadcast, and then after.
Wait. You're missing something. I want to talk about the live introductions because each of you are introduced separately. And I've seen some footage of it, and it's fabulous because each of you,
Alvin gets the most decibel. Actually, originally it was just, we were told when we first started doing Donnie Bash, they said, oh, there's food. And we said, well, we're kind of busy in our dressing room. And they said, no, it's not just food. There's other drinks. And we said, oh. So we started coming out. No, I'm just kidding. We actually, that whole, the Sheldon puts on such a great, and by the way, our crew, which doesn't get enough, we say we, it's the folks that do the work at the 9 Network, do an amazing job, our guys that do this, and they really do an incredible job of setting it up at the Sheldon. We have the lucky job. We get to show up and meet people and get ideas from them and get feedback, and as we've always talked, it's the best part of it for us that we get to interact with the audience.
Right.
So, I mean, we're kind of like, we're very lucky to do it, and it's before and after, it's certainly no chore for us to be out there. We love
Isn't
it.
that great? Because it's just that much more fun. And I'm sure that having a live audience is great for your energy. And I know you're not at ham at all. I'm sure they have to drag you out
He just
there
takes
on
over the
stage.
show every year.
No,
That's all.
like I say, it's getting introduced, and you're taking the stage, and it's a stage. But it's a stage every Thursday, and it's a platform, and to keep it, we need people to support us.
That's right.
And what goes into, what happens on Donnie Bash is our way of saying thank you to a live, large audience. And it's important, and we want you to be there so we can say thank you to you.
That's right, and it's easy enough to be there because as a sustaining member, you're going to be able to get 2 tickets and the mug, and it's going to be a wonderful evening for you, and Will is going to tell you more about that right now. So let's check in with Will and our volunteers, see how they're doing.
Well, they seem to be having a very nice time over there, and you'll have a nice time as well when you join the Donnybrook cast at Donnie Bash coming up September 27th over at the Sheldon. And as you saw on that videotape that they rolled, they dragged the set and the whole thing over there. I mean, this is actual live television, kind of an unusual thing to get to see these days. And if you'll join us at the $12 a month sustaining contribution to Channel 9, that's $144 a year, we'll send you 2 tickets to see Donnie Bash live and in person. You'll also get that new 9 Network mug, and you will enjoy that so much. It's just a grand night. You'll get to see the live production, and then you'll get to rub shoulders with the Donnybrook folks, and they really are. They're just as nice as they seem to be over there visiting with Mary. Join us if you prefer at the $5 a month level, and we'll send you 1 ticket if you'd like to go stag or whatever the female equivalent is. At the $5 sustaining membership, we will send you 1 ticket to Donnie Bash on September 27th over at the Sheldon. That's a $60 one-time contribution if you prefer to do it that way. But you know, those sustaining memberships at $5 a month, you can put that on your debit card or your credit card if you prefer, and it's just automatically taken out every month. You don't have to worry about renewals and notices and postage and paperwork and all that sort of thing. And it makes sure that the 9 Network has a monthly income from all those sustaining members that keeps great programming coming your way over the next year. Call us right now. Back to Donnybrook.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us again. We hope you join us for Donnie Bash. Jasmine, Huda, we've been watching you on Fox 2 for years. So good to have you on the program.
Good to be
Appreciate that.
here.
And you did some great reporting this week. You went to Clayton and found that those who are breaking into automobiles are heavily armed.
Yeah, they're young and they are armed. So there were a couple cases in the last couple of weeks. Over the weekend, they found an 18-year-old with a loaded 9mm. He was breaking into cars in Clayton and presumably the city of St. Louis. I think he's linked to that too. But he had a loaded gun on him. And just 2 weeks ago, in another Clayton neighborhood, Carswald, nice area, 2 cars were stolen. And the guys who are wanted were seen on surveillance carrying weapons with them. I think they had an extended magazine.
Like a Tech 9.
Yeah. So some serious stuff here. And I was talking with another police chief, Brentwood, a couple weeks ago, and he was saying, this is not just the metro area, this is nationwide. And in the metro area, you will find communities where these people who are breaking into cars are armed. And the reason for that is because breaking into cars isn't what it used to be. You could steal a car just using a screwdriver and hot wiring a car. Now you need, because of this anti-theft technology, you need to have a key fob. If you need the key fob, you need to find the person who drives the car. So they are ambushing people and they are getting violent. And that's what we're seeing more of. And they're saying the number of carjackings has gone up. We're seeing it. There was one in Brentwood Forest a few weeks ago. There was one in Hazelwood a few weeks ago, and these criminals are getting more violent.
It was a good report because I never really thought about it when I carried my fob, and now I was like,
Yeah.
I never really thought about that. I would think that if we reviewed the average criminal these days, I think we would find that they were younger, and I think we would find that they were carrying a more extensive weapon.
They're armed.
I think that's. It goes hand in hand with the
Right.
car robberies, but I think it goes hand in hand with society around, not just St. Louis, but across the nation.
Well, and you have police chiefs who are saying constantly, week after week, don't leave valuables in your car, and people continue to do it. The problem is they see someone coming to their car, and then they confront them, and some of these guys, it's not just one person, they could be ambushed because they have the other guys ready to come in on them.
Part of the answer here is that you've got to start prosecuting these gun crimes. When people have illegal guns on them, and all these young criminals, those guns are illegal handguns that they're having. If you're using a gun, so you rob a car, you just don't get penalized for robbing the car. If you're using a gun in the commission of that crime, you need to go away, and you need to lock them up, and it needs to make a serious penalty, and that will begin, I think, to have an effect.
There actually are laws.
But they're not prosecuted.
That's not
Well, no, they are
that's-
now by Jeff Jensen,
Jeff
U.S.
is,
attorney.
but they
That's
weren't,
actually-
they weren't prosecuted.
I don't
We'll
think
point it
that's
out
a
Jeff
fair.
Jensen, by the
I
way.
really don't.
Donald Trump.
First of all, I don't
Donald
think
Trump.
that generalization is fair. I mean, and I think a generalization I'd bring up is we could have more gun control and fewer guns. That would be one
would do
solution.
nothing.
Criminals
But
will still
that would
have
be
it.
There's
one
already- there's
solution.
already
But I
laws
think,
already
I
breaking
think
the
the
laws.
interesting, the most interesting thing about this story is the unintended consequences of anti-theft technology.
Right.
And it's almost like the message ought to be, don't leave valuables in your car, leave them on the hood of your car and stay away. I mean, it's almost like, I don't mean to make light of it, but it's like, it's an incredible unintended consequence
Well,
that people are more likely to be
Jamila
victims.
Nasheed threw out there several years back that if you commit a crime with a gun, that's an additional 10 years.
Yeah.
That went nowhere. Now, 10 might be extensive, but I'm with you. Hey, if you commission a crime, especially one that's supposedly nonviolent,
Right.
and you have a gun on you and you get additional time, then the next nonviolent criminal will make sure, like, hey, we're going to steal. Do not bring your gun.
It's just all I'm saying is there is a correlation between the amount of firearms in our country and the crime rate in comparison to other civilizations. You
Okay.
can say it's not going to work, but it is one. Just like, and no one argues against harder, tougher set laws, which are already on the books. There's some debate as to whether they're really not enforced. I think it's county to county, first of all, but. I'm not giving up on gun control.
On the subject of law and order, Ray, I want to ask you about what happened in Richmond Heights this week. There was a meeting of the Board of Aldermen or the City Council, whichever it is, in Richmond Heights. And they were confronted by a lot of people who were arrested recently or sent summons after they had protested at the Galleria in September and November of last year. And they had gotten these notices just recently. In fact, one of the protesters, Reverend Darrell Gray, said that he met with Richmond Heights officials to talk about the situation there, and then they sent him a summons for, for breaking the law. Do you think it was appropriate for Richmond Heights to wait till this summer to take on the
no, I don't.
protesters from the Galleria last year?
I don't. Obviously, if you protest, if you're trespassing and you get arrested for trespassing, so be it. But first of all, if you remember, there were some issues about how they treated the folks and kept them overnight unnecessarily, and there were some real issues about the way it was handled. There's no particular issue with me that they got arrested if they trespassed and did it. However, the last thing this community needs, let's put it that way, is for this thing, which is really, at the end of the day, pretty much no harm, no foul, to be dragged on for a year. Really? We're talking about this a year later. If they need it, if their cases were worth disposing of, they should have been disposed of. And if it takes them a year, they had to just move on.
Well, I think the delay was inexcusable, but I wouldn't say no harm, no foul, because when you protest at the Galleria and then there's this ruckus and people are arrested, stores lose business. People are less likely to go there, and I do feel that
jobs.
Well, right, but first of all, wheels of justice grind slowly. The fact that it took almost a year, but it really didn't even take a year. Okay, now here we are, 10 months later, whatever. It's time. It's your day. It's your day to go face up to what you did. I mean, it's not like you're going down there and looking at 10 years in the state pen. Look, you decided to be civil, civil disobedience. Okay, all right. I thought you wanted your day in court. I thought you wanted to go down there and say your piece as to what happened. And I'll pay my fine, give me my fine, and send me on my way. I don't have any problem with it taking that long, and I think that's the judgment that you made.
I think the optics of it are interesting, Chief, because why were they protesting? This is right after the ruling in the Stockley case, is that right? So this was like September of last year. And then there were these protests at the Galleria that weekend and maybe the following weekend. Why did it take so long? And people were asking the mayor of Richmond Heights, and he was saying, look, we're not just starting this. This is just from a month or two ago. That still seems like a long time.
I agree.
Alvin
I mean, there's not a whole lot of other stuff going on there.
Is 100% correct on this topic.
I'm scared.
There goes your career. You know what?
There goes your career.
If we could invoke the words of our great original provocateur, the city of Richmond Heights needs somebody to come forward and say, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's what we ought to be doing.
Let's move on to Kirkwood. What is the nickname for your great city?
The Green Tree City.
The Green Tree City.
Yes.
Let me ask you about their plan to eliminate single source recycling curbside. So I guess, every week the recycling truck pulls up and they take all your recycling, which everyone puts the plastic as well as the glass and the paper and the cardboard in one container. But not anymore. They're discontinuing that service because it's too expensive. Do you think that people should continue recycling?
Oh, absolutely. And the city, our fair city, has got to find some kind of way to keep this going. One, we could get into the environmental. It is good for the environment. But, it was a chance for people to do right, by the earth, by their own community. And we are one of the best recycling communities in the United States of America. By tonnage, we do a good job. And it needs to continue. And just because it costs more, let's find the money for it. And other municipalities are facing the same dilemma. Let's all come together and try to figure out why to do this.
There's got to be an educational process because according to people who buy the recycled material, or now they're not really buying it, they're paying, you have to pay them to take it. Places in China and Vietnam and Korea are saying, this American recycling is recycling because you're putting in batteries, you're putting in appliances, you're putting in waste from your yard like rocks and stones, and you're putting in like greasy pizza boxes, which is not what we can use. So it's these Americans who are so proud, patting themselves on the back and recycling, you're just dumping. This single stream is not recycling at all. You're just putting your garbage in there and no one wants it.
Well, that's not everyone. That's a few people, and
it's enough to ruin it.
No pun intended, but bad apples, they're everywhere. Look,
that'd be compost.
I mean, you can't. This once again, you can't stop doing something that's good because a part of it is bad, and even if it's very bad. Maybe we can. Why can't we do this in the United States of America?
You know why? Because it's too dirty a job.
And it's toxic too. I would guarantee you once in China, who knows?
People are, according to reports out of Cape Cod and elsewhere, people are putting diapers in the recycling.
Used
diapers.
Oh, man.
Not good. Not good.
So is the question, are you saying, are we for or against recycling? Is that
Well, you
the
know
question?
what?
I'm for recycling. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's going to cost you.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
You're going to have to pay for it.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm for recycling.
Are you for
knee-jerk liberalism?
But the
at its
whole
best.
idea was that you recycle because there's value in it, and the value's gone. Because
You were making money off of it, and now you're
Right.
being charged.
Right,
yeah.
So
Well,
it's
there
a
was
whole
this
different
thing-
business
There
model
was this
now.
thing about
Yeah.
the planet too, but I guess maybe.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
you
not
see-
just Kirkwood, because it's not like they're saying, we'll do this for Webster Groves, but we're not going to do it for Kirkwood. I mean, it's everywhere, and I think O'Fallon, Missouri is dealing with this. They're dealing it with a meeting tonight. So they're going to have to get a grasp of this problem because it's going to be affecting communities everywhere.
Well, China-
I got to tell you, I love recycling. I love recycling.
you're for
St. Louis Magazine, the Riverfront Times, and a few others. All right, what we got to do is ask you to join us on Donnie Bash, which is just around the corner, so don't delay. Here are the details.
I took note of the fact that Alvin Reid said that our city is one of the top recycling cities in the country. Well, that reminds me that we also, per capita, the 9 Network is the most watched public television station in the U.S., more so than New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, many others, well, the rest of the cities. That is per capita because, well, folks have great taste in television here with programs like Donnybrook and so much more. We need you to get on the phone right now, please. We have a bunch of lovely volunteers from the Clayton Ladue Rotary Club waiting to take your call, and they'll make you the next new member of the 9 Network. We have great gifts for you tonight. Join us at the $144 per year level. Make that a sustaining membership if you would. I believe that's just $12 a month, and we'll send you 2 tickets to Donnie Bash, and that's coming up on September 27th at the Sheldon. You'll also get the new 9 Network mug, and you see all of it right there. A $12 a month ongoing monthly contribution to the 9 Network. You'll never miss it. Put it on your credit card or your debit card. Never have to worry about renewals, and you'll be supporting everything you and your family enjoy here on Channel 9 in a very, very good way. If you prefer, you can join us at that $5 a month sustaining membership or $60 one-time contribution. We'll be happy to send you 1 ticket to Donnie Bash, again, coming up on September 27th. That's not very far off, just a little bit over a month. It'll be at the Sheldon. You'll have a lovely time, see a live broadcast of Donnybrook. You'll get to meet all of the Donnybrook regulars. A little meet and greet there, a little cheese and crackers, a little libation, and believe me, you'll have a lovely time, and you'll be supporting quality television here on Channel 9. At the $5 monthly contribution, that's the sustaining membership, we'll send you the 9 Net mug, or if you prefer, you can do that at a $60 one-time contribution. Well, Marianne Carson is hanging out with the Donnybrook folks. Let's go over and see what they're talking about.
All right.
We're
Here we are. Yeah,
This
we
is
are.
us.
Yeah,
It's us.
we're on.
I don't know if we're ready for this.
Welcome
No,
back.
we're not ready,
I don't know.
but we're
We haven't
always
prepared
ready.
our
aren't we? You
remarks.
all are always ready. That's what
Always
I
ready.
love. That's what I love. And when we were here before, we were talking about just what makes Donnie Bash so exciting and why people should really enjoy it. And if they've been before, you all say, don't be shy, come on back. Because people who are there 2 or 3 times, it's always different.
And it's
isn't it?
like family.
Yeah.
You know, we recognize a lot of faces, but everybody's always invited to be part of it. And it's really, we found that really important that we like to see new people. We like to see younger people, you know?
Yep.
And just people that are new to the Donnie Bash and the Donnybrook experience. And that's really important to us because we want to just help everybody, but you help us by being at Donnie Bash, 1, for the financial contribution, but 2, for bringing your ideas and bringing what you think we should be talking about and what it's important to you as far as the St. Louis region. It's cool.
It is. It is. And having people there in an audience, do you get like maybe cheering sections when you've got
I think Alvin gets that big cheering section. And it's a tradition. When Ray walks out, he's got to get the big applause, and rightfully so. Being one of the founders, you know,
Yes.
he brings a certain gravitas to the program.
There's just some sense of surprise that he's still alive.
No.
It's amazing. No, but and one of the things that, and I know it's a little schmaltzy, whatever you want to call it, But this is really, we have, if not the best, one of the best public television stations in the country.
That really is a fact,
And
isn't it?
it's a fact. And this is the connect. This is, and it's not the only one, but this is a great example of its connection to the community. I mean, when they fill the Sheldon for us, which we're flattered by, and it's wonderful, it is a connection between this civic asset and the community, and it really is that's real. I mean, and that's what public television is about.
Yes.
And whatever your politics are, whatever is, it's about that. And this is a real live connection between the audience, and it kind of comes through us a little bit, but it's really, it's about what the station does.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I'm
is.
not gonna say I'm not a pitch, particularly, but it really helping this, in this era of all things, helping this station and this PBS network is a very important thing to do. It really is.
And I think a lot of us realized that during the past elections that we've had, because it was impossible to find a source that would give you in-depth facts about both sides so that you could really make an informed decision. And it sounds kind of corny and simplistic to say, but that's really true.
Well, I got to tell you something. That's a good point, because if you even measure some of the longer pieces on radio and some public radio, they might be 3.5 or 4 minutes long. In our topics, we're generally going 4.5 minutes or so on each of the topics on this show. Not to mention what they're doing on the News Hour with the great cast there. I
Yeah.
mean, they're going 8-9 minutes into a subject that some others might give 30 or 40 seconds, Marianne. So
Exactly.
and you can't get, and all of this is supported by the generosity of our great viewers.
Absolutely. And when I moved back the program had started in '87, I guess, and I moved back in '95. But in those years when I would come back and whatnot and watch it, I said, like, names, places, what's going on. I could get that in a half hour with Donnybrook, going back to wherever I lived. It said that was very important. Please help us keep doing it.
And
you'll
keep in
have
mind
fun,
something,
too.
I don't want to brag,
Yeah,
but when we do 4.5 minutes, we have about 3.5 minutes of actually something to say. and then we got another minute to
And with that, we're going to go back to Will and see how he's doing over there with the volunteers.
Well, they are the Donnybrook folks, but did you notice they are all sitting there with the old 9 mugs? Well, I have a new one right here, the new 9 net mug, and this comes with your $12 ongoing membership to the 9 Network. You'll get this mug, plus 2 tickets to Donny Bash coming up September 27th at the Sheldon. You'll see a live broadcast of the program. You'll get a meet and greet with all of the Donnybrook folks. You'll have a lovely time. 2 tickets for you, plus the mug, and that's with a $12 ongoing monthly contribution to the 9 Network. If you prefer, you can join us at the $60 one-time contribution membership level, and we'll send you 1 ticket. If you're a lone wolf, as it were, you can join us that way, and you'll still enjoy the Donny Bash at the Sheldon and all of the meet and greet with the folks. You can also join us at the $5 a month on your credit card or your debit card. We'll send you the 9 Net mug. That's $60 a year, but that $5, it could not be easier, it could not be more convenient, and that's $5. My goodness, that's hardly even a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee shop these days, and it makes all this great programming possible. Call us right now.
And thank you so much for joining us for Donny Bash and tonight on Donnybrook. Great to have you with us. All right, we were talking about recycling earlier. John, I want to ask you about a problem that the Post-Dispatch has, I think, profiled pretty well, along with some other media. And that is that people are dumping their trash like crazy in the city of St. Louis. And in the Twitterverse, the mayor's getting blamed for it. Now, she's only been in office less than 2 years. Can you blame Lyda Crewson because some guy from Bonne Terre is unloading his pickup truck in North St. Louis?
No, but the problem you got in the city is that they've got all these aging infrastructure and all these old trash trucks that need to be replaced, and they can't afford to replace them. And if ever there was a place to privatize in government, it would be, privatize the trash collection. That way it's going to get done. And a big part of the problem in the city is local residents dumping because nobody's picking up their trash.
Yep.
You just seem like, all right, we're going to sell the airport. Now we're going to sell the...
No, we're going to lease the airport.
But, all right, but that you have so much faith in
The private
this
sector.
working out.
Yes,
but
I
it
do.
won't. It won't. The city of St. Louis will end up paying more and getting less. That would be my guess. Now, as far as Light Cruciate is concerned, it was the people weren't getting their garbage picked up. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and the reaction to that said, like, she better get on that because this is the kind of thing that will chase you out of office quicker than crime and all kind of stuff. People aren't getting their trash picked up. So I think the light bulb came on. They are finding people. It was a good story in the Post where they've got cameras up and all that. These are the first steps. Let's give it time to work. But St. Louis should not be the region's dumping ground. But if you get caught, pay a penalty.
I agree.
And if you're working for a company that you're in the truck, go to the company.
Amen.
Like, hey,
Amen.
you
When
pay
it
a
sounds
penalty.
like half of their trucks are in service, and either they're broken down or whatever's going on, and they're also understaffed. So they need to address that issue as well because people are on medical leave or they're calling in sick. What's going on? So two big issues there.
They didn't apparently, and again, I don't make this night to beat up on ex-mayor Slay, but this was an inherited problem because they didn't replace, for whatever reason, the city hasn't been replacing. I think I'm not a big privatization person. I think the airport thing is just, as I say, scandalous. But trash is something you could certainly look at, make a case for. The problem is you've got such an investment in equipment that it's a question of whether it's feasible to shift to a privatization model. But they continue to not handle the optics going forward of this.
You could sell those trucks.
They've got to handle.
I
They've
will
got to
say-
handle the I don't call it the empathy thing. There's got to be something done
It's key.
that makes it appear to be more of a priority than
Ray,
it
I
is
want
right
to follow
now.
up with you on another matter, but where I live, they use Republic Services,
Right.
who have a pretty bad reputation
Yeah.
in some circles.
Well, right.
But when it comes to picking up trash, they do a pretty good job. The Archdiocese, in a breaking story today, has asked the Attorney General, Josh Hawley, to investigate its files on sexual abuse by the priests. And I thought this was an extraordinary gesture. Now, I don't know all the details yet because, as I said, just got the information this afternoon. But on the surface, it seems like an unprecedented move by Robert Carlson, wouldn't you say?
I think it's kind of a bizarre gesture, and I don't know much about it yet. But the idea, it's a very delicate topic here. This didn't just like start last week with the Pennsylvania, and the idea that the church is inviting, and in fairness to the Archbishop, he's not been shy about politics. When President Obama got an honorary degree from Notre Dame, he criticized them for it. He's been very involved on the subject of reproductive rights. And now
Immigration.
he just happened to throw Josh Hawley a nice headline where Josh Hawley has accepted his invitation. The Attorney General has accepted the invitation of someone to investigate him. I find it very just puzzling. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what
But
happens.
that's-
Transparency. Everybody wants to talk about transparency. Well, here's
know.
how more transparent can you be than saying, here are our files. And what was so shocking about Pennsylvania was that you had this going on for decades and decades and decades all covered up. I am heartened that the Archbishop's going to open up the files. Josh Hawley's going to come in and look at them. And the Jeff City Archdiocese and the Kansas City St. Joe Archdiocese are going to participate as well. I think this is a very good development.
And as far as, I'm not sure how much teeth this will have, as you said. I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, it's more symbolic than anything else. But, yes, he is going to
It's
review
fine.
the
I'm not
files. He's going to review
it's
the files,
fine.
but he can't really prosecute them. And I think he's going to make recommendations to the prosecuting, the
Local
prosecutors, the local
Well, then
prosecutors
why not
to
open it?
take
First of all,
action.
as I say, I've been long defending people's due process rights and not casting everybody with the same thing. I just think there's something strange. I'm certainly not disagreeing that the Catholic Church or our local archdiocese should cooperate if there's probable cause.
But
I don't see
Alvin,
this.
Somebody said, "Hey, Alvin, we're going to investigate you. Turn over what you want to us." And like I said, here you go. Yeah, and then you come back and you say Alvin Reid ain't never done nothing wrong in his life.
We'll
right?
see.
Yeah,
What a guy.
Yeah,
What a guy.
Because don't forget, Frank Keating, who was the governor of Oklahoma, he was investigating some church misbehavior, and he said they stonewalled.
Yeah.
So if the archdiocese is inviting Hawley, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt that they want to
I mean, he
investigate.
wrote them a letter. He wrote the Attorney General a letter and said,
let me
you
get
have
this straight,
access to our
if you're
files.
inviting somebody, then
Let's
why
hold
not
off until we
invite
get
the
more
local
information.
prosecutor?
Let's talk about this on another time
I mean,
when we have more information.
okay.
Hey, this week on the Charlie Brennan Show, Jasmine Huda, Chief Tim Fitch, former police chief for St. Louis County, who's now running for county council, we should point out, said that he doesn't agree with the city of St. Louis's requirement that to be a police officer or work at the airport, you have to live in the city. And he said that in St. Louis County, if the city persists, St. Louis County should have the same rule, that if someone in the city of St. Louis wants to work for St. Louis County, he or she should live in St. Louis County. What do you make of this?
Well, I think the argument for that, and I respect and admire former Chief Fitch, is that you make an investment in your community. You know, if you're going to live and work and play here, you're more connected to your community. You're more invested in the school district. You're contributing taxpayer money. I have spoken with some police officers who have said they're concerned about it because there's a reason why they live outside of St. Louis County. It costs less. They have childcare issues. Maybe, grandma's taking care of the kids in Jefferson County. There's also this concern about, do I want to be pulling over people in the same community where I live? So let's say you live in Afton. Do you want to be pulling over, if you're at that precinct, do you want to be interacting with these people who you are, do you want to interface with them?
Well,
yeah.
And I first of all, I think Fitch was a good county police chief, and I think he should be congratulated for having the political, the clout and the connections to get on the Charlie Brennan Show, which is really not something anybody can generally do. But he's dead wrong on this. I mean, the whole idea, this is two wrongs making a right. The idea of residency rules for city police officers really is a bad idea. It's been around forever. Sure, people feel more secure that they have a police car parked on the street. That's all nice, but it's grossly unfair to the officers who we put enough hurdles and enough low pay and enough everything else.
But he's got a point, Ray,
No,
in the sense that
he is a bad point.
Think about the airport, for example.
He's a bad point.
It's in the county, but if you live in the county, you cannot work at the airport.
Well,
that's crazy.
Well, and I
ridiculous.
guarantee you that there is a percentage of employee that the airport is not getting that
Correct.
the airport could use.
That's
and
correct.
to Tim, I say like me, this guy said you were going to run for office when you were still the police chief, first one. Come on now, don't embarrass me. This is a little preposterous, and I think you know
That's all going to change when we lease the operations of the airport. The government should not tell people where they have to live.
Obviously.
Period.
Right.
Ever.
All right. Hey, final question. We have a minute to go, just 60 seconds. Alvin Reid. It was announced that the LA Angels will be back at Busch Stadium in June.
June 21st.
Along with Albert Pujols, who left us. He turned his back on us and walked out. Should he not be booed when he returns to Busch Stadium?
He should be cheered long and lengthy.
Correct.
This franchise would not be in the situation it is without him. Now, if he had gone out to California and the Angels had won the World Series 3 times and the Cardinals had gone in the tank, it might, but it didn't work out like that. His best years were here. Yep. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Cardinal. Yep. And no, he deserves the cheers, and he will receive the cheers.
And he's genuinely one of the most charitable and seriously, effectively charitable athletes we've ever had in St. Louis, the Pujols Foundation, and that's for real deal.
He's the second best
folks,
player in history.
All right.
There might be water
Thank you
under
so
the
much,
bridge.
John and Jasmine, the two J's, for joining us. Here's how you can write us. Care of KETC, 3655 Olive Street, St. Louis, Missouri, 63108. Don't forget those tweets and those emails. Jasmine Huda on Fox 2, and tomorrow morning we've got John Hancock on KMOX starting at 8:30 something. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week, but don't forget, we sure appreciate your support here at the 9 Network.
Donnybrook is made possible by the members of the 9 Network.
Well, you heard a lot of important stories on Donnybrook tonight, as you always do. But Charlie Brennan's last words were the most important of the evening. We certainly do appreciate your support, and we need to hear from you right now. Please join us. That's why we're here, to get you to support the programs that are important to you and your family. Join us at the $12 a month sustaining membership level. That's as convenient and easy as it can be. Put it on your credit card or your debit card, and we'll send you a pair of seats to the Sheldon Auditorium on September 27th to see Donnybrook live and in person. You'll also get a meet and greet with the Donnybrook folks after the show. Believe me, it's a lovely evening. You will enjoy it very much. We'll also send you that new 9Net mug. 2 tickets and the mug. That's yours with a $12 sustaining monthly membership to Channel 9. That's $144 a year if you want to do it all at one point. And if you'd like to join us at the $60 level, the one-time contribution, we'll be happy to send you 1 ticket to the Sheldon to see Donnie Bash live and in person on September 27th. We have other membership levels. For example, the $5 a month sustaining membership. We'll send you that new 9 mug, and that's a $60 per year membership. But $5 a month, my goodness, that'll just move out of your debit, your checking account once a month, and you will support everything you love here on Channel 9 at the $60 level and above, and the $5 sustaining membership qualifies for that. You'll also get a subscription to 9 magazine delivered to your home, plus the 9 passport. You know what that is? This is fabulous. It is extended on-demand access to public television programs on your computer, your smartphone, or if you really want to be wild and crazy, you can even watch them on your television. That's all yours at that $5 a month sustaining membership. Please, we've got volunteers from the Clayton Ladue Rotary Club waiting to take your call, make you the next new member of Channel 9. Let's go back over to Marianne Carson and the Donnybrook folks.
When we talk about Donnie Bash that's coming up, it's Thursday, September 27th. So this literally is the last chance for people to be able to get tickets.
Absolutely.
And to get it on that great deal.
Right.
You know?
And when we begin, at the beginning of the year and we start having pledges, I'm as guilty as anybody else, because I'm thinking like, yeah, right. When is Donnie Bash? Late September? Well, right. As famous Richard Pryor line was June then. Right?
Yeah.
But now it's here. And this is the time to take advantage and be a part of it, because it is special. And, we have red state and blue state, and we have conservative and we have liberal. But let me tell you what we got at this table. We've got Ferrari, and we've got Mercedes,
yes, we do.
And we got Formula One, and we get along
We
madly.
do. We argue all the time. But that's what I love about you all, is because it's arguing. Yes, you're passionate about your views, but you also respect everybody else's views, because you know that they're entitled to what
Pretty
they think.
much. I mean, it's civil discourse, as civil as we
Yeah.
can make it. 31 years, thanks to the viewers of the 9 Network. I mean, we wouldn't be here without people's generous contributions.
When
And
you think
I don't think
about
there's anything quite like it in the United States. I've never, we all know broadcasting. We haven't heard of any show quite like this. Certainly no show that goes in front of the viewers for a live broadcast.
Right.
As a fundraiser.
Well, what program really does do a live broadcast, the way it is? I know the late night shows,
Right.
I guess, do
gotten
it. We
used
don't
to
know
that.
what's edited in or whatever. But hey, this is a chance for you to do something that people used to do all the time in the 50s and the 60s and whatnot. Be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's live and it's in
Yeah.
color, and you can't take back what you said, and you're trying to be entertaining.
Boy, that's true.
and
You
you're-
can't.
Right.
And you've got a live audience
Oh,
there.
right.
They will remember, I know.
Every word.
And what else would you say to encourage people to go ahead and definitely make the call?
Well, your house is full of stuff. Who needs more stuff? But this is an
That's true.
experience, and
Very
it'll
good.
be a lot of fun. We guarantee it's fun. No one has
Oh,
ever
yeah.
asked for a refund.
It is fun. Right. It is. It is. Batting practice, the game, after the game. You
Right.
get it all. It's like sporting event. It's great.
Right, and you can take care of people on your holiday gift list right now,
Well,
which would be great,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point. And it's a great time for you bring your family, maybe your
Yeah.
mom or your dad, in case they have concerns about driving at night, whatever.
Sure.
And we see people of all ages, really, especially if Bill's grandkids show up. But
He usually likes to have them in the audience, doesn't he?
he does.
Absolutely. Hey, early Christmas present. My birthday's September the 6th. I know there's some September birthdays out there. Get them 2 tickets to Donny Bash.
That sounds
And
like
we
a
think
great
it's
idea,
this is the
yes.
time right now that we need to get on the cell
We
phone,
really
right?
do, yeah, because if
whatever
we
phone
wait
you're
now,
on.
the opportunity's going to be gone. So
But yeah, so they're and hopefully they'll sell out. They usually it's a packed house.
Packed house.
And so we hope it'll
That's
sell
great.
out. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, hopefully if it hasn't already.
it sounds
hopefully
like it. Well,
it's-
now
it's,
we just have to just say, come on through.
we do,
for
but
it.
this is we're really
Yes.
asking people tonight is the night. We hope people. It really is, and again, keep talking about us and the show and stuff. It's about the station ultimately, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the station. We
And
really
it's a
wouldn't.
way for you to celebrate with the viewers.
Absolutely.
There, and I think that's what's so fun about it as well. Is just an exciting, different kind of event that a lot of people haven't been to before.
No, it's an event, and it's also our fundraiser, our big fundraiser
That's
of the
right.
year. So
That's right.
thanks
So
in
let's
advance
hear
for your
from you.
generosity.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Will and the volunteers, see how they're doing.
Okay, this is going to be your last opportunity during this broadcast to get a couple of tickets to Donny Bash, and I suggest you do it right now. Give us a call, or you can also do this on 9net.org. That's NINEnet.org. But when you do, join us at the $12 ongoing monthly contribution level, and we'll send you 2 tickets to Donny Bash coming up at the Sheldon Auditorium on September 27th. That's just a little more than a month away. You'll also get the new 9Net mug. You'll get all of that when you join us at just $12 a month. Put it on your credit card or on your debit card. That's the easiest and most convenient way to support the 9 Network and keep these great programs coming your way. If you just need 1 ticket to Donny Bash, well, there you go. Join us at the $60 one-time contribution level, and we'll send you 1 ticket to Donny Bash on September 27th. You can also join us, if you like, at the $5 sustaining membership level, and we'll send you the new 9Net mug. That's $60 per year for everything you and your family enjoy here on Channel 9. You'll get the 9 Network mug. That's a $5 sustaining membership to Channel 9. And you'll also get a subscription to 9 Magazine. All of that. Oh, my goodness. Look at, there's Alvin back there. We need to get more of our volunteers. They're here from the Clayton Ladue Rotary Club. We need to get more of them on the phone. So please call us, join Channel 9, join the 9 Network rather, and support Donnybrook.